adds a great deal of enjoyment to riding a motorcycle. And this bike, you can't hear the motor at all right now. I can't hear anything. I just hear wind. And I think it would just be so much better if I had a better exhaust on here. It would make me want to ride more. Now, if you watched any of my videos, my other videos, I have a 2021 CSC SG250, which is a Chinese bike. It was my learner bike. 16 horsepower, 280 pounds wet, you know, carbureted. The only thing that's modern technology on it is speedometer, which is digital, but it does have front and rear disc brakes. But even out of that air-cooled carbureted 16 horsepower motor, you can hear it. The exhaust is loud, and it makes it fun to ride. Where this is just, I don't hear anything but wind. And the sound of a machine, whether it's a car, you know, a Porsche, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, or a 57 Chevy, doesn't matter. This is one of the things that attracts us to machines. The sound of a machine. And this thing, I don't hear anything. But I love to, so I'm looking for, you know, I know, I talk about poor and all this and that. I'm not looking to buy right now because I'm poor, because my hours been cut back, but I do want to add a second, I guess a fourth bike. But I want to get rid of a couple. So I kind of have this dilemma, maybe people can help me figure it out. When the time comes, where I either have to get a second job, or I go back to full time, I have a couple options. 3 options actually. One I think is completely ridiculous from a financial point of view, but for my CSC SG250, there is a company called Motocult that is making aftermarket performance parts for these Chinese-made air-cooled 250cc motors, actually 233cc's, I think. But those motors are based on 1970s Honda motors that Honda made in the 1970s for third world countries, because the people were not maintaining the bikes in these countries, in South America and parts of Asia and stuff, because Honda was supplying the same motor to these bikes that they were supplying in bikes sold in Europe and the United States, where people were Colville Bay. That's one of the marinas here. That's coming up. But anyway, that's right here, this turnoff. It's pretty nice. It's very nice and twisty, but we only have so much time. Anyway, those motors were failing in third world countries because they weren't being maintained. They weren't changing the oil, weren't checking valve clearances. They weren't doing any of these things. So Honda engineers came up with a very simple bulletproof motor for these markets, and it worked. You know, they're bulletproof. They're great engines. They're not powerful, but they're great. And they came in like 150cc or 175cc or something like that, where these are 233 or 239, or I forgot exactly what it is. But yeah, they were great motors. And so when the patent ran out on them, anybody who has a manufacturing facility can make these motors. So that's where this explosion of these Chinese 250cc motors are coming from. They're found in, you know, the Hawk. Look at that view. Wow. That's beautiful. See, the deeper you get into this, the more beautiful it is. Look at, I don't know if this is coming out. There's green up in there. Those far hills, there's green and red patches. But anyway, if you've heard of the Hawk motorcycle, you can buy it on Amazon. It's like $1,500 or $1,700 or something like that. It's a dual sport. It has turn signals. It has mirrors. That has the same motor. CSC also makes a enduro or dual sport, I should say, with the same motor. Janus, the Janus 250s, if you're familiar with those bikes. Ooh, Husqvarna. If you're familiar with those bikes, you know, they look like 1930s bikes, 1920s bikes. They're made Janus. They're made here in the United States. They're really expensive. They look cool. I mean, they're handmade. They're beautiful. They use the 250 uses the same motor. There's lots of manufacturers using that design, and there's minor differences. And the one thing that's good about them is there's a counterbalancer in them, which really smooth it out pretty good for a single, air-cooled single. And the original motor, Honda CG motors, did not have a counterbalancer, so they're probably pretty vibey. Mine's pretty vibey too, but anyway, the point being is that riding that bike is fun, even though it's 16 horsepower. And I can't take it on the freeway. I mean, I could for short distances, but it's a blast just to cruise around town as a commuter bike. One of these days I'm going to make a video of it riding. Now, this scenery is just beautiful. So, those of you who are my subscribers, you probably know that I haven't made a video in a while, and one is because the weather has just not been friendly. And like I said, I'm a fair weather rider. I don't like riding in the freezing cold or the hot. Two, I guess I've been expecting too much as far as subscribers go. I thought I would get a lot of subscribers, and I've been posting my videos on KTM 390 groups on Facebook and, you know, places like that, and I've gotten a decent amount of views from my Hoover Dam video, like 143, but, you know, half of my subscribers are like my friends and coworkers and stuff, you know, and I just guess I had higher expectations because I wanted to do this as a hobby and transition it into possibly a career. And the problem, I guess I just don't realize the reality of making these videos, is that I'm a cheapskate, and with my current work situation, I'm kind of limited on what I can do. If I had a $1,000 laptop with editing software, I could do so much more. You know, I could get more cameras, I could get a drone, I could do all these things. These are things I want to do. There's people out here hiking or something. There's a horse trailer over there. So, I don't know. I guess I got a little turned off by it. You know, just wondering where all these subscribers are. And then I saw a video by a YouTube vlogger called Dork in the Road. I don't know if you are familiar with him or not. He does a lot of testing of motorcycles kind of stuff, which is not what I want to do. And he said, if you are making videos of you just riding in picturesque places, that's great and all, but that doesn't mean that you're going to get a lot of subscribers and grow your channel, because just because you think it's beautiful doesn't mean everybody else thinks it's beautiful. And I guess that's true. You know, I guess the reason why I started this is because I love watching people ride motorcycles, you know, from a point of view stance, you know, with the helmet mounted camera or the chest mounted camera like I have. And man, I wish this truck was not in front of me. I don't know if that's a Park Service truck or not, but I don't want to pass them in case it is. I'm not really in a big hurry, but man, this view is beautiful. But I love watching these videos, and the ones I've been watching lately is, you know, I am hankering for another bike if my employment situation changes, and the bikes that I've narrowed it down to are more. So yeah, I of course completely got off topic as usual. So originally this started out as talking about getting another bike and the options that I have. So the CSC SG250, one option is get a big bore kit from Motocult. There is an aftermarket cam for this bike now. Nibby carburetors. Look at that over there. I don't know if you can see that, but we went to Valley of Fire. Remember the video? If you've seen it, that's Valley of Fire. They're part of it. This is beautiful. So anyway, there's a big bore kit for it, with a cam, with an exhaust, a Nibby carburetor, a ported head. It's a $2,000 probably upgrade for all these things. And the bike would get, I don't know, between 20 and 25 horsepower. And that doesn't seem like it's really worth it. But the thing is that I'm not a motorcycle rider to go fast motorcycle rider. I like spirited riding. But I'm not looking like, if I wanted to go super fast, I'd get an R1 or a, you know, a Duke 890 or 1290 Duke or something like that, you know, and that's not really what I'm into. Oh God, it's beautiful out here. It's not really what I'm into. I like spirited riding, but I would rather just be able to ride a little above the, you know, the speed limit, and I'd like to be able to hear my engine. Especially on a road like this, if I didn't have this damn truck in front of me, I would be riding, you know, 10, 15 miles over the speed limit, and the sound, the sweet sound of a motorcycle engine with an exhaust, you don't need to listen to music. I do not listen to music when I ride my motorcycles because I want to hear the bike. The bike is its own music. So anyway, that's option one. Spend a couple $1,000 on a light ass bike that's 280 pounds wet. I think it would be a blast, but I don't know about reliability after putting those parts in. Two, restore my 82 Yamaha Maxim. I really want a cafe racer. I'm a big fan of 1960s motorcycle culture and cafe racer culture, ton-up boys and stuff like that. That's gonna probably be a lot of money. I don't know how to weld, so I'd have to take it to people. The motor probably needs to be rebuilt. It has 11,000 miles on it. It's never ran since I bought it. I bought it before COVID, and I was gonna restore it, and you know, I can't really restore it, you know, my current financial situation. Man, I wish you would pull off somewhere, buddy. There's a rest area right there. Just pull over so I can go past you. I don't know. That thing looks official, though. You would think there would be like U.S. Park Service on the back or something, but I don't see that. Anyway, what else was I saying? Yeah, I would love to make that thing into a cafe racer. I mean, I would do it right too. You know, I get some Olin shocks in the back and Öhlins shocks or some kind of forks in the front. It has cast wheels, but you know, strip it down. It's got a 4-cylinder air-cooled motor. Puts out like 74 horsepower. Get some pod filters on that thing. You know, it has dual exhaust. You know, it's good exhaust. I think it probably sounds just beautiful cruising through here. And yeah, that I would definitely love to do, but there's only so much I could do myself. I can't rebuild the motor myself. I don't have a garage. You know, you need a clean environment when you rebuild motors. You can't just rip motors apart in your backyard and rebuild them. Now the third option, which is probably the most realistic, is to get another bike and sell those other two. So this is what I've been watching because I'm kind of torn on the bikes that I want. And one of them, because I said I wanted a cafe racer, is the obvious choice. If you don't want to build a cafe racer, is to get a Royal Enfield Continental GT. It's a beautiful bike. It's a cafe racer, and it's not an extreme cafe racer. The clip-on bars are a little bit raised, I guess, for you know, for comfort. Now, it's not something you tour on, but it would be a, you know, a commuter bike, the bike to take on a road like this. It would be just a blast on. And you know, those are what, $5,500. Oh man, I wish this truck would get out of here. You would think it would say park service on the back. I don't see anything on the back, but it's doing exactly the speed limit. It looks official to me. You're just ruining my ride here. Not really ruining it. Hampering it, I guess I should say. We're doing 55 up to 56. And the thing is, it seems to pull away and then it slows down. There's some kind of rock out there. See it standing alone. But because it's the national park, you can't ride out there. If I had a drone, I could fly a drone out there. That would be cool. So yeah, I've been looking at videos of that. I love air-cooled motors. You know, I love the vintage look. But I don't know if that's a deal breaker. I've really been looking at the new BSA Gold Star 650, but they're not sold in the United States yet. I think COVID put a hamper on that. It was supposed to be here last year, I think. But again, you know, all these bikes that run are all singles, and that's a single. It's 45 horsepower, has a lot of torque. It is water cooled. It's made by Rotax, which makes an Austrian company, which is a proven motor. The bike is just beautiful, though. I don't know if you've ever seen it. That's another thing about motorcycles. You know, they're works of art, you know, and the Royal Enfields and the BSA is a work of art. Another bike I was looking at was the BMW R9T. Yeah, we're getting up there in price now, but I love the airhead motors. Like I said, if I had unlimited funds, I would just have a warehouse like Jay Leno full of bikes and cars, probably. This is so nice up here. Let's see. The Triumph Speed Twin 1200, also a contender. So there's some red rocks there again. We're close to the Valley of Fire. It's a left turn lane. The left turn lane. I wish that person would pull off. I should pull over. Actually, my hands are actually getting cold. And so are my knees, but there's nothing I can really do about that, but it's not too bad. So now this thing seems to be moving, this truck. So I don't know. And you you know what? They're not doing 40, so I guess I'll just live with it. But next turn off, I think I'm going to have to change my gloves or add gloves. Another thing, another bike. Yeah, Triumph Speed Twin 1200, the BMW R19. Now, I guess the BMW R19 is going away, and it's going to be a BMW 12 R12 9T or something. I don't know what it is. Anyway, it's going to be an upgrade of some sort. So you know it's going to go up in price. But if I can find a used BMW R19, there is a used BMW R19 Racer. It has the cowl on the front. It's on, you know, Facebook Marketplace. But they want $11,000 for it. And it looks good. I mean, it is beautiful. Look at this scenery. Yeah, the Triumph Speed Twin is so beautiful too in its own way. It's just beautiful. And again, that's 11, 12, maybe $13,000. I'm just like, oh, I don't have the money I could afford, you know, Royal Enfield Continental GT, and it is a cafe racer. I could turn the other bikes into cafe racers if I wanted to. But again, I'm going to spend more money on an already expensive bike. I don't know. So there's a spring coming up called Rogers Spring. It's a natural spring, redstone, that comes out of the mountain. And I'm going to pull over there. We got to be kind of close to it. It's really cool. And I don't know where it's at. It's got to be coming up soon. But I will put on my second pair of gloves. I need to just buy a pair of winter gloves. But again, I'm trying to cheapskate my way through life right now. And then there's the option of putting an exhaust on this thing. I mean, I think maybe I would like this bike a lot more if I put an exhaust on it. I mean, there's no reason not to like this bike. It's fun. It's 43.5 horsepower. It's light, 280 pounds wet, or 380 pounds wet. It's a fun bike, man. It's basically a 390 Duke with some skid plates on it, a little bit different bodywork. It's fun, it's light, it handles, curves, and twisties excellent. And I think if I just had an exhaust on here, I think I would love it more and want to ride it more. Man, my hands are starting to get a little bit chilly. So the handguards help. If I didn't have these handguards, I'd be hurting a lot more, but they're not frozen to the bone frozen, you know. The cold is starting to creep in is what's happening, so. I have a sweatshirt on, I have a t-shirt under that, and I have my liner for this coat on under that. I am starting to feel a little bit of cold on my arms, but not terrible. Yeah, we're gonna need to pull over. Rogers Spring's got to be coming up soon. I don't even know if this thing's even recording still. This 360 RS has a tendency to turn off in the middle of a ride and then turn itself back on. And I guess the same thing has to GoPros. People say they get overheated, but it's in the 40s with wind chill is below that. So this thing should not be hot. Now this thing's slowing down, see? You were doing 60 something. I don't see any lettering on the back. Now you're doing 49. Oh, now you're speeding thought I'd come out here on a Friday, you know, it's my day off. Weekdays, usually this place is dead. And so the chances of riding without a lot of cars or somebody holding you up in front of you, you know, it's pretty good that there won't be a car in front of you holding you up. Now this guy's flying again. Like, what are you doing? Make up your mind. Anyway, at this point, I just want to get to Rogers Spring. Yeah, this bike has been amazing. I mean, I've had hardly any problems with this. I always hear people talking about KTMs are unreliable. Well, I don't know about any other KTMs. Oh, speaking of which, so most of those bikes I talked about were retro bikes. But I love the Dukes. You know, the Dukes are beautiful. And then there's the, you know, more modern bikes like the Yamaha MT-07 and that new Suzuki GSX-8S or whatever it is. That is beautiful. I sat on that. It's so little. And it's got all that power and just like, oh my God, this thing is not even the fastest bike in the world, but to me it's plenty fast for what I need. But it's modern, so it's like I'm torn. That's why I need a lot of money in a big warehouse so I can buy all these bikes and then just ride whatever I feel like riding at the time. Oh, there's a lot of crap out here. I don't know if it's dog crap or... And then there's vintage bikes. There's a place in Missouri, or no, Iowa, in Marnie, Iowa, called Baxter Cycle. They sell vintage Triumphs, Nortons, Royal Enfields. They have an old 1960s original Royal Enfield Interceptor that is just beautiful. And again, those motorcycles sound like motorcycles. That's the thing about riding a motorcycle back then opposed to riding a motorcycle now. It's like you can hear them. That I'm downshifting here. If I crank it up like that, I can hear the motor a little bit. You know? I say, if I just put an exhaust on here, maybe it'll temporarily alleviate my want for another bike that's a little bit faster, that's more for street, you know.